Have you or someone you know just got accepted to a few great colleges? And if so, huge congratulations to you all. Today, what we'll go ahead and discuss is how to best decide which colleges are the best match for you. And these tips are super helpful. I wish I knew I had this when I was deciding because I was stressed out. So stay tuned. Hey, I'm Tiffany. I'm an independent college consultant as well as a career service provider. I've been in the recruitment field for over 8 years, and this channel discusses how to best apply to colleges, succeed when you're in college, and prepare for a lifelong career path as well. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe because we'll be sharing tons of more tips in order for you to be successful. I remember not too long ago that I was in your shoes exactly. I couldn't decide which schools I wanted to go to because I got into a few great schools. I went to UC Berkeley, UC San Diego, UC Santa Barbara, and those were my top choice schools. So as you can imagine, I was really weighing between the different options, and I just reached out to my family members and got their advice, and it wasn't very strategic. So what we'll discuss today are 6 different practical and very strategic ways for you to make informed decisions around which school you should really go to maximize your potential and meet the different criteria that you're looking for in a dream school. All right, my first tip for you is to start a pros and cons list. So break out that piece of paper and pen or open up a document on your computer because I always like to stay organized. And when you make up your pros and cons list in your mind, you oftentimes forget it. So please do create a document so you can keep track of the areas that you enjoy about certain schools and then weigh them against the areas that you don't like as much. My second tip for you is going to be around cost. So if your family does not really care too much and can afford college, you can go ahead and skip to tip number 3, but I'm sure most of you are going to be very conscious about how to afford college. So what I would recommend to do is create a document for each of the different schools that you're thinking about going to and write down how much it would cost. So factoring in how much financial aid you actually got, the different packages that you're going to have are going to be around, first, grants, second are scholarships, and then third, how much is a loan going to cost for your family as well. So make sure you have a very practical and honest conversation with your parents to make sure that they're going to know how much it might cost for you to attend this university. Oftentimes, university is going to give you the cost as a yearly fee, so make sure that you multiply that by 4 if you're going to a 4-year institution. The average student that graduates from college graduates in 6 years. I don't want that to be you because we will definitely talk more on this channel on different tips to make sure you're staying on track and you're not going to be one of those statistics as well. But for now, to keep the math easy, let's just focus on 4 years, so multiply that by 4. The third factor that I'd recommend you analyze is the opportunities, especially when it comes to employment. So different ways that you can look this up is through online resources. Something I really think is credible is US News. So you can look up US News on Google search and then put in your school name, and then it should come up with different statistics on how the school's ranked, and oftentimes the ranking is related to how employable are the students that are graduating from that university. So highly recommend that resource. Some schools also have Naviance. That's a platform that's already given to you by your school, and a lot of them are ranking around the employability of the college students that are graduating as well, so make sure you do that. And Naviance also has access to how much it's going to cost for you to go to those universities. So leverage that free platform that your school is already using to look up some of this data for points number 2 and this one, number 3. All right, now that we got the practical advice out of the way, we're moving on to my favorite, which is number 4, and it focuses around the opportunities of academia. What I mean by that is analyze all the different professors that are related to the field that you're interested in at that specific school and see if you would like to actually take their courses. We've all had a favorite teacher in high school, at least I hope so. I've had a handful, and just to name a few, Miss KT, shout out to you, Mr. Griffin, Mr. DiVincenzo. So what I mean by that is you are going to be at this institution for the next 4 years of your life. Make sure that you're actually taking courses for someone that's reputable, someone that you're going to enjoy hearing more from their lectures as well, because you're going to be having to wake up at 8 a.m. in the morning and doing homework throughout the night for these professors and to learn more. So around the academics is super important. So make sure that you're doing proper research for each of your schools, especially focus on those major departments that we just talked about. I do want to caveat that you shouldn't be making these decisions based off of one professor. You should be doing a holistic review of the different professors that are at the university before you make the decision, because it could be very well that the professor decided to take on another opportunity once you start school. And I really don't want you to think back and say, Tiff, I made the decision, I listened to you, and that professor is gone. So I don't want that to be you. So make sure that you're taking this advice with a grain of salt. And a little story time for you. I decided to go to UC Berkeley. I actually just found this towel that I got at a football game when I was going to Cal. And I decided to go to Cal because not only was the curriculum absolutely one of the best for law, because I was interested in pre-law back then, but obviously I'm not a lawyer now. And we'll talk a little bit more around strategically planning what majors to choose when you're applying to college in future videos. But mainly the reason why I decided to go to Cal is they had amazing professors. Most notably was Robert Reich. So I was super interested in public policy, and he was one of the professors that was teaching. So I had the honor of taking one of his classes when I was actually there, and it was one of my most favorite. It was very eye-opening and extremely helpful. I got to meet some of my best friends in that class as well. So I would highly recommend that you zero in on doing that research around what classes and opportunities are out there at the schools. My fifth advice is to look at the resources and opportunities that are out there. So what I mean by resources is, are the different universities putting on career fairs for their students? Are there enough counselors at that university? And if you're someone with special needs, look into those specific programs and see if that's something that they're going to be offering and having counselors that focus on what you actually need. And I can't stress it enough to make sure that you are maximizing all the different resources that are on campus. There's tons of support systems, so you just need to reach out, do your research, and see which one works best for you. So look into that. Additionally, something that I absolutely loved about my college career was I did the UC Education Abroad program, UC EAP, and I met even more best friends from that program, and I also love to travel. So I'll talk a little bit more in a different video about if you should be studying abroad, what I've learned from it, and I'll maybe even bring on a few of my friends that I met from the UC EAP program as well, so they can share more about their path, how they apply, as well as what they've learned from the experience. But for the sake of today, what I'm talking about is if you're interested in studying abroad, you should actually be planning way ahead to see if you can afford it, which international university you're interested in attending, and then be strategic about how to apply for it, because you're going to be needing to do essays for it. You're going to be needing to get good grades in order to meet those prerequisites. And that's something that I always recommend to my students, is to plan intentionally and look at these different support systems and programs that are out there that will align with what you're interested in. My fifth advice for you is a very typical one, which is go visit the campus. You won't know until you actually get on campus and you get a feel for the culture itself. So if you can go physically to the university and take a walk around, see how it feels to eat at a nearby cafe, study at a coffee shop, and see if you can actually talk to any of the students that are on campus. Oftentimes, if you go to the office of the university, they'll be having some tours. And especially if you got admitted, a lot of schools do admit day where they invite all the students that have been admitted and do a tour. However, I know that there are some international students that can't quite just hop on a flight and do a quick tour, and there's also students that might not have the funds to go ahead and do that. So I would recommend that you do it virtually. I've seen this work out very well where you look up YouTube videos or TikToks of students that are currently attending that university, see what they say about it. What is it like to take a certain class? How is it like to be immersed in that culture, that city, and get a feel for it as well? Additionally, there are different tools that you can actually use. There's websites like UniBuddy, UniGo. I'll go ahead and link the different resources in the description below just so you can take a look. It's amazing because there's current students that actually give reviews and give insights into the student lifestyle, and that'll be a great way for you to do a little bit more research in a more practical manner. And I would always recommend that if you do this research, make sure you talk to actual current students because the culture can always evolve. Another way is what I actually did was, if you know any friends and family members that are going to that current university that you're interested in going to, ask them to give you a tour. Ask them to share a little bit more about their experience so far, because they're more than likely to be able to give you very candid and honest, truthful feedback of their experience. And honestly, take everything with a grain of salt because everyone has a different experience. You're a unique individual. You might absolutely love that school, and there might be a likelihood of you might not, even though people that you know actually enjoy it. So just make sure that you're looking at everything very objectively while you are making these decisions and doing your informational interview, as you will, with all the people that you know, as well as doing research online. And if all else fails, Reddit and Quora are always really good platforms as well if you have any questions between comparing different schools, or if you're really stuck on a certain question or challenge that you would want to get solved before you actually make your decision. So go ahead and leverage those different resources. I'll link those in the description below as well. All right, so those were the 6 different tips. I would love for you to go ahead and comment below in this video and let us know what other schools are you actually comparing? What is really making it difficult for you to make this decision? Because we're here for you. We'll go ahead and try to give you as much advice as we can and help you make this decision. But at the end of the day, follow your heart. I remember laying in bed, crying and deciding, man, which school should I really be going to? And honestly, I slept on it and woke up in the morning and decided, hey, Cal is the school for me. It just made a lot of sense. So I would really recommend that you look at the list that you just made for the pros and cons and sleep on it, wake up in the morning and go with your gut. Please do like, comment, and subscribe because we'll be sharing more information around how to be successful for college applications, college life, as well as career. See you next time.